That particular summer remains etched in my memory vividly. Oh, and it was a real test of my patience, all thanks to a deceitful lady. My wife Everly was eager to ring in her 25th birthday by the ocean's edge. We had agreed to snatch up tickets for July and spend a solid week in a plush resort, but a mere 3 weeks prior to our scheduled departure, my boss dropped a bombshell. He dangled a lucrative contract in front of me with the catch being a required jaunt abroad for no less than a month. Naturally, Everly took great offense to this change in plans. I proposed that she take her folks along instead. However, the idea didn't tempt her mother in the slightest. At 45, Sophia was meticulous about her health regime, an enthusiast in sports and not averse to the occasional nip and tuck. Reflecting on the past, soon after Everly and her twin brother David were born, her dad went ahead and had a vasectomy, settling on the notion that their duo of kids was ample. Consequently, our meticulously laid plans crumbled unexpectedly. While the mother-in-law managed to negotiate some time off work, the father-in-law couldn't wrangle even a week away. The twin brother, being very active, came up with a funny gift with the participation of his 5-year-old twins. David, always serious and married quite early for his age, tries to keep everything under control. Both he and his wife are constantly busy with their careers, which leaves them no time to take care of their children. Everly, my daughter, is the exact opposite of her brother. She is more carefree, at times bordering on recklessness. Before marriage, she was like Mercury. One moment she was present and the next she disappeared. Her relationship reflected this transitory nature. Yesterday was one thing, the next day another, and by the third day both were evident. Yet throughout our 2 years of cohabitation, I'd never sensed anything amiss. I believed I was keeping a close eye on her. The innate senses of a spouse and expectant mother were tingling, suggesting a deeper scrutiny might have been wise. I tidied up the minor details, bid farewell to my wife, and departed for work. As June was drawing to a close, each evening Everly sent me snapshots from the coastline. Occasionally the pictures showcased sizzling beachwear. More frequently, it was her nephew sharing moments with his mom. However, from the looks of the vibrant photo updates, it was clear the youngsters were having the time of their lives. Their days were packed with entertainment, clowns, party hosts, swimming pools, and adventure rooms. On my wife's birthday, I woke up early, gave her a call, and sent my heartfelt wishes, telling her just how much I missed her. She appeared rather taken aback by the surprise video call and looked as if she hadn't gotten any sleep. She explained that she had indulged in seafood the night before, which didn't sit well with her tummy, leading to a restless night curled up in discomfort. I recall this had happened on a previous occasion, but my attention was diverted by a striking bottle of some intriguing liquor and a few glasses spread on the table. In an instant, Everly seemed to fade away. "Well, we had a few drinks with my mom last night," she muttered, as if that explained everything. But really, why were there more than 2 glasses? At that moment, I wasn't puzzled by it, but of course, now I see the whole picture. At the start of August, when I got back home, I surprised my sweetheart with a hefty bouquet and a shiny gold chain. Even though it was a bit late, I still managed to extend his congratulations. By summer's end, Everly revealed to me that she had 2 lines on the test. We agreed to keep it under wraps for the time being. She started seeing her doctor consistently, as it seems there's a specific routine for expectant mothers when it comes to gynecological appointments. I inquired if everything was all right, and when the moment arrived, I took them in for examinations. At that time, I found myself waiting in the car for Everly to emerge from the clinic. On the front seat lay his wife's folder containing a gynecological record alongside various other documents. Out of sheer tedium, I began to peruse the papers, and before long I found myself plunged into a state of shock. The chart reflected a duration of 10 weeks, 4 weeks from September, 4 from August, and 2 from July, indicating that conception likely occurred in mid-July. I calculated the weeks into days, but my dread only deepened. It narrowed down to July 15th through the 20th. I distinctly recall that I had spent the entirety of July abroad, and July 18th was particularly memorable as it was my wife's birthday. I had been on a seaside getaway then. A wave of nausea washed over me, an uncomfortable sensation creeping up my throat. Opting not to spiral into anxiety, I resolved to verify the facts. I snapped pictures of the documents with my phone and carefully returned everything to its original place. By this point, my mother-in-law was unwell, harboring suspicions of stomach cancer. For several consecutive days she suffered from unexplained ailments, resorting to a strict diet, yet the turmoil never ceased. Sophia was fraught with worry, terrified of facing any medical tests that could yield a grim diagnosis. Nonetheless, Everly managed to persuade her mother to seek the necessary evaluations. I was faced with the undeniable truth that it would be useful for an unborn child to have a grandmother. That's why I decided to support Sophia on this journey. Together with my father-in-law, we went to the clinic. While I was sitting in the waiting room, Thomas took her to the office for an examination. It was only a few minutes before there was a sharp exclamation from behind the closed door, and my father-in-law jumped forward with his eyes wide open as if he had seen a ghost. He ran down the corridor at a furious pace. A few moments later, my mother-in-law followed me, hastily straightening her blouse. Then a confused nurse in a medical gown looked out, who passionately informed Sophia that such outbreaks are not uncommon during menopause and noted that since it had been 10 weeks, they needed to make a decision about pregnancy as soon as possible. I put together everything that happened, but I wasn't going to miss this opportunity. I went up to the nurse and asked for a small favor. I took out a photo from my phone. She carefully studied the details, made comparisons, and analyzed the data, and soon declared that there could be no doubt. The gestation period was really about 10 to 11 weeks. At that moment, it was my turn to exclaim, "Damn," in disappointment and walk down the corridor, overcome by the emotions bubbling inside me. That evening, my mother-in-law hung out with Everly while I kept my father-in-law company. We indulged, let's just say rather extensively, in drinks. To claim it wasn't doing us any good would be an understatement. Yet eventually, the moment arrived when the fog of alcohol lifted and we started to hash out our predicament. Strangely enough, we were both on the same page. It was uncanny. Even a hedgehog could have grasped the situation clearly. There was no ambiguity in what had transpired on that sea. 2 married women went there, but 2, shall we say, ladies of questionable morals came back. The father-in-law voiced his displeasure with his wife. Despite the fact that they raised 2 kids together and already have 2 grandkids, he had a moment of weakness. Yet of course it was about his granddaughters. He rang up his son and started chatting in a normal tone, then mentioned that he missed the girls and wanted to have a word. The talk went on for a while and was all over the place, as it often is with 5-year-olds. But I witnessed just how adept my father-in-law is at reading people. He started inquiring about all sorts of topics, stuff like kindergarten, favorite foods, and then without even noticing veered into talking about summer vacations. The girls, like they were spilling the beans, shared that among other things, Captain Jack Sparrow had popped into their room, keeping them entertained with all sorts of games and tricks. They even mentioned drinking colorful mineral water with their aunt and grandma. Then they went on to play hide and seek. Captain Jack did a bang-up job hiding. They looked for him forever, finally discovering him in the bathroom with Grandma, who was the first one to find him and got a seashell as a prize for her sharp eyes. We decided not to delay and file for divorce. Periodically, I talked with my former father-in-law, recalling the past. So guys, if you all liked today's story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you for watching.